Etsy beginners often open a shop because they make nice things, but they haven't actually checked if the product is actually needed and ready to sell. There is a huge difference between I can make something that I think is really cute and really awesome versus people actually want to buy this. Today, in this video, we are going to be talking about whether the product is properly sellable, whether it's clear, whether it's giftable, whether it's profitable, whether it's repeatable, and whether it's easy for a stranger to understand. Okay, so point number one here is a pretty product is not always a sellable product, okay? A handmade product can still be really awesome and really pretty, but it's still not ready to sell on Etsy. And if buyers don't understand it quickly, or who it's for, or feel like the price makes sense, it's probably not going to sell, okay? We definitely have a distinction between well made and ready to sell. And I do hear this a lot where people will say, well, I make tumblers and there's a shop on Etsy that's selling these like 50 a day and I can't even sell one. And they're like, why? Well, the problem is that if your business is based off of, well, someone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it, you've already lost because they've built a brand. They have that X factor that make people go back to them over and over again. Plus, they already have a customer base, they have data, they have research. So you can't just look at an outside product and go, they make that, so I'm going to make that too. The biggest mistake that I see is just because you can make it doesn't mean you should make it. If it's for you, fine. If it's a passion product, awesome. But if you're actually making several different kinds of products thinking you're going to sell them, well, you need to watch the rest of this video. So point number two, can a stranger understand it quickly? I know I harp on about this and I know I do say this a lot, but I cannot stress enough how distracted Etsy buyers are. Like they are literally either waiting in the line at Tesco, on the toilet, whatever, and they're just on their Etsy app, just pretty well doing this. They are distracted to say the least. So if your listing requires a bit of digging, requires a bit more thinking, basically requires any more of their brain power than they are willing to give, what happens is they either do not click or they favor it and they never come back ever again. So the product needs to make sense from the first photo, the first title, and the first impression. So we have what's called a 3-second test, okay? You need to answer these questions in 3 seconds or less. What is it? Okay, and you would not believe the amount of photos and like arty-farty things that people tend to do with their like thumbnail images and listing photos in general that actually confuse buyers. So if in doubt, keep your photo super, super simple so that someone can clearly and very quickly go, that's what that product is, okay? The second thing is, who is it for, okay? If it is a very obvious gifting listing, then show it being gifted or show it gift wrapped or give it that gifting like overhaul, give it that gifting vibe in your listing. The third thing is, why would someone click? Okay. Is it something that makes sense? Like if they're searching for a silver elephant bracelet, does it clearly show a silver elephant bracelet? Even better if it's modeled or, you know, you're showing it in hands, you're showing it actually being used. Okay. Why would someone click? Okay, so those 3 things that you have to answer, or your listing does, in 3 seconds or less is, what is it, who is it for, and why would someone click? 85% of the time, when I coach handmade business owners, they are convinced that their product is the problem. 100% of the time, I'm like, your product is not the problem, it's your presentation of it. Because I think sometimes as makers, we forget that your target market, they cannot pick your product up. They cannot look at it. They cannot hold it and they cannot imagine it in their lives. So every part of your listing has to make that abundantly clear and do it for them, or within 3 seconds or less, okay? If you master that, you are going to make sales, guaranteed. Point number 3, is it for a clear buyer, occasion, or need? Buyers don't just buy what a product is. They buy it from a very emotional place. They buy it from a place of, what does it do for me? What does it help me to buy it for if it's a gift? Or what occasion does it fit? Okay, they have to already have a place or an intention in their minds of what that product is or who it's for. Okay, they already have to almost like think of it like a freshly decluttered room. They already have to have a place in their mind as to where that product is going to go, okay, or who it's going to go to or what it's going to be used for. You can have 2 candle listings. One can be extremely vague. It can be like lavender scented soy wax candle, 18-ounce tub. Okay, it can be very, very vague, and you could list something like that, but you are not going to get views, or you might get 1 or 2, maybe every other week, but you're certainly not going to make sales, okay, because it's extremely broad. You're not actually showing the product, and you're not helping the person viewing it imagine that product in their lives or for the use that they need it for. So instead, you could list the candle as lavender scented new mum gift, or lavender scented anti-anxiety candle, or something like that. You're already listing it in a different vibe, in a different way, where you're basically saying, hey, this listing is centered around that kind of occasion, that kind of buyer, that kind of person, and also that kind of emotion too. So another example could be a handmade mug. Yeah, fine, great. Or it could be a new job mug for your work bestie. Like, can you see the difference there? If you have a clear buyer in mind when you are listing your product, you are going to have an easier time making sales. That's just the way it is. Now, here's a point that I feel like a lot of beginners miss out on, and it's normally like a 6-month problem, but it's when you make your first sales, are you able to make that product again without hating yourself? A product needs to be repeatable if it's going to work as an Etsy listing. Now, if you're saying to me and you're shouting at the screen right now and saying, Steph, I made one of a kind, that's fine. This still counts because you are going to be looking at patterns rather than repeating the actual physical product identically again and again and again. You are instead going to be looking at what patterns and colorways and styles can you repeat that people love. One-off pieces are fine and great, but they need to be priced and sold that way, okay? If you have a product that is gorgeous, but it takes far too long to make, and you hate making it, you are in trouble. You basically want something that is sellable, that is repeatable, and is profitable. Like, profits are the lifeblood of any business. We need to all remember that. So think of it like a triangle, right? You have sellable, you have repeatable, and you have profitable. And in the middle is if the product is ready. If it's not hitting these 3 things, it's not ready. Now, something that I want to talk about, and its whole point, is leave room for profit. Pricing is so much an integral part of whether a product is ready to be sold. If the price only covers material, barely pays for your time, it's not ready for you to build a business around that product. Start as you mean to go on. Profit pays for your time, tools, mistakes, fees, packaging. You don't want to be pricing from fear, okay? You don't want to be pricing from, I need to make sales, therefore I'm going to price this cheaply, because that is not going to work. And as an added not so bonus, it might put people off as well because it might be too cheap. Point number 6, is there proof that people buy similar things? Research is not copying. Oh, no. It is actually such an important thing, especially for beginners under the 6-month mark, to do and to do consistently. It basically is going to help you understand buyer language, occasions, and the product shelf that your item belongs on. So you don't want to copy, but you just want to look for evidence that people are buying this particular thing. So look at other shops, look at their sold listings, and if they're hidden, look at their reviews. So here is one of your next steps. It's to go below this video, podcast, wherever you are consuming this, and download this free guide. It's literally called Why Your Etsy Listings Aren't Selling Yet and What to Do About It. Your listings have potential. This 72-page guide is going to unlock that. You cannot carry on in your handmade business without this guide. It's going to be so valuable for you. So go below and grab that guide. And your second next step is, I want you to go and watch this video next. It is called Etsy for Beginners, Why Your Etsy Listings Aren't Selling Yet. It's going to be the next thing that I really want you guys to go and watch. It's going to complement this video nicely, and it's going to be the next natural step if you are an Etsy beginner.